Okay, welcome guys. My name's Scott. I'm the head coach here at FounderFit, predictable execution systems for capable entrepreneurs that are just not executing at the level that they know they can and should be. And it's costing them revenue, it's costing them performance, it's costing them growth. So listen up. This is a really interesting discovery on my behalf. I think we all know this kind of stuff, but whether we're conscious of it as entrepreneurs and whether we're implementing it is a completely different game. So what I would love to do for you today is, and you need to know this stuff because it's perspective, but it's also about asking the quality questions, asking the right questions. Which category do I fall into? Do I fall into the elite or do I fall into the masses? Which one am I? And not in an egotistical way. I'm constantly judging myself, and not judging in the way that, I'm beating on myself. I'm analyzing, I'm assessing, I'm understanding. What do I do each and every day in specific areas that are going to determine what category I fall in? Do I fall into the top 1 or 2% of entrepreneurs, of money makers, of successful people? Or do I unfortunately fall into the masses who, no disrespect, it's where I come from, but it's where I see majority of the pain. I see majority of the masses experiencing unnecessary pain because of their habits, beliefs, and values. So we're going to go over those today in detail. So let's start. Below are 3 sections. Okay. Now I've broken this down. I've done a little bit of a deep research into this style, into, this theory, which is the habits of elite performers and the habits of the masses. And I've chunked it down into a very, very simple training. So this is going to be awesome. Now, what you need to do is, first of all, understand what the difference between the two. And secondly, is decide and fully admit, put your ego, leave your ego at the door, like we say in our company, and absolutely commit to being honest to where you actually sit. And that's okay, which either side you're on, because one side is going to get you results. Sorry, just closing the door. And the other side is the reason that you're experiencing pain, lack of growth, inconsistency, uncertainty, etc. Okay? And we want to take you from the masses, if that's where you are, and move you into the elites. Why do we want to do that? Because that's where all the fulfillment lives. That's where all the happiness lives. That's where all the abundance lives. That's where all the growth lives. That's where all the money lives. That's where all the prosperity lives. Right now, I look at the Western world and it is in trouble. So you decide where you want to be. Do you want to be, scrounging at to get the best prices on food and clothes and education? Or do you want the abundance for yourself and your family to not have to stress about the unbelievable levels of inflation and cost of living and house prices and rent and mortgages and every other challenge that's going on financially for people? So I'll throw that out. All right, let's get into it. Below are 3 sections: habits of the elite performers, habits of the average, the masses, and a direct comparison about the two. And I'm just going to read through this, fly through this, and then you make your own understanding of what's going on here and what category you fall into. And then the question is what are you going to do about it? All right, here we go. 1, habits of the elite performers. These are patterns consistently seen in elite performers, operators, athletes, and leaders. So not just one category, elite performers across all of those categories. So first one is decision and action. Elite performers, they make decisions quickly with incomplete information. You may think that that's, maybe a little bit, that's a mistake. It is not, because to get all the information perfectly all the time sometimes is irrelevant, and that's when you miss opportunity. Elite performers, they make decisions quickly, even if they don't have all the information, so they can capture the opportunity when it arises. We'll see the other side soon before I go into that. They're biased towards action over analysis. It's action first, analysis second. Whether you believe this is right or wrong, the elites have proven this to be correct. They move on immediately from mistakes. They do not dwell. They do not stay in the past. They treat time as the most valuable resource. Money can always be made back, but time, it cannot. They execute daily, regardless of mood. I rant about this a lot because this is where most entrepreneurs are going wrong. They are governing their business via their feelings. Complete mistake. Discipline and structure. They follow strict routines. They use systems rather than relying on motivation. Motivation's fleeting, comes, goes, it's here, it's there. You feel like it, you don't. You're having a good day, you're having a bad day. Everyone's human here. Everyone, it doesn't matter how rich you are. If you've got kids, they're going to have problems. It's going to bring you down. It doesn't matter if you've got billions of dollars in the bank. Kids will bring problems. Business will bring problems. Relationships will bring problems. The world that we're in right now, I'm doing this training while there's a war in Iran and petrol prices have spiked. Inflation's going through the roof. Like, there will always be problems. Okay, so we must execute. Well, sorry, actually, I won't go into that, and I won't tell you what you must do. You decide where you want to be, but that's what the elites do. They track progress and performance metrics. They schedule priorities first. They eliminate distractions aggressively. Think about that. They eliminate distractions aggressively. How many distractions do you have in your life? How many distractions are controlling your mood, your attention, your time? Their thinking pattern, they think long-term, 5, 10 years. They don't worry about short-term setbacks and short-term problems and anything short-term, because they know over the long term that if they execute accordingly, they will win. They focus on leverage and compounding. They take full ownership of outcome. They seek root causes instead of blaming symptoms, and they continuously improve processes. Just think about that there for a minute. Like, think of how powerful that mindset, those actions, those beliefs truly are. And it's so easy when you do understand it, especially when we go over both sides. It is so simple to see why one is winning, why one is elite, why one is in line with reality and it's showing up in their results, and the other one is suffering. It's so obvious. All right, let's keep going. Learning and growth. They read and study constantly. They seek coaching and mentorship. They surround themselves with stronger people. They implement what they learn quickly. They review failures systematically, not emotionally, as a system. This is big. I come from the fitness industry, and this is what's given me the foundation to be such a high performer in what I do over such a long period of time. It is so important. Your health, your energy is the foundation and basis of any great entrepreneur. They protect sleep. What is sleep? People think, I was thinking about this the other day, and it's just a short side quest here. What is sleep? Sleep is not just, lights out, it's over, you're unconscious. Sleep is recovery. Think about that for a second. Sleep is not sleep. Sleep is recovery. They train consistently. They manage stress proactively. They're doing things. They know they've got a lot of pressure in their lives. That's what happens when you start playing at the top. You have more and more and more pressure every day because you're taking on more and more challenges. So naturally, they know this. So they manage it proactively rather than reactively. They eat intentionally. Again, I won't go into the other side, but what do the masses do? How do they eat? How do they look at nutrition? They avoid substances that reduce performance. Alcohol, a total depressant. Cigarettes, totally killing everything about your body, your physiology. Environment control. All right, next, environment control. They design environments for success. They remove friction from productive work. They limit negative influences. You can't get rid of them all, but they proactively limit them. They spend time with high-performing peers. Like they say, you're the average of the 5 people you spend or listen to nowadays. Listen to the 5 people that you spend the most time with or listen to. They create spaces optimized for focus. It's just brilliant. And it's so obvious. When you think about this, it's like, wow, that really is, it truly is the ingredients of the elite. If you study enough of them, these patterns are so obvious. All right, communication and leadership. They speak directly and clearly. They set clear expectations. They hold each other and others accountable. They resolve conflict quickly. They delegate outcomes, not tasks. That's huge. We'll get into it, but the masses, they focus on lists and busy leaders, elites. They're always focused on the outcome, the end result. All right, personal standards. Last one, here we go. Personal standards, they keep promises to themselves. They follow through even when uncomfortable. They do the hard things voluntarily, and they maintain high personal integrity, and they operate from internal standards, not the external validation of the world. Huge, massive. That all speaks for themselves. And if you study enough elites, you will see that is exactly how they operate. And not all the time, no one's perfect, but 80, 90% of the time, absolutely guaranteed. Because reality doesn't allow anything else. Again, it's just the reality, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, has shaped the rules that we have to play by to get the results that we desire if we want to be elite. I didn't come up with them, clearly. I'm an absolute nobody, nothing in the scheme of things. The universe came up with these rules. And if you abide by them, you get the results. If you don't, you suffer the consequences. Let's go through the habits of the average, the masses. All right. These behaviors are extremely common and lead to stagnant, if not declining, results. Here we go. This is the habits of the average and the masses. Decisions and actions. Now decide, which one do you do? Which one are you? Decision and actions. They delay decisions. They overthink simple choices. They get emotional about it. They get overwhelmed. They overthink. They wait for certainty. They wait till it's 100%. Nothing's 100%. They start things but rarely finish them. They get emotionally high and they get excited and they do things, but they don't follow through when it gets tough, when it gets boring. They take action only when motivated, only when they get that high, that emotional high. All right, moving to discipline and structure. No consistent routines. They operate reactively instead of proactively. They prioritize constantly change. Prioritize, same. Priorities constantly change. So what does that mean? There is no strict discipline. Priorities are all over the shop. They're changing as the wind does. You can imagine the lack of results that's going to produce. They lack clear daily structure and they allow interruptions all day. They don't mind having a chat. They don't mind doing random things. They don't mind all the distractions. They don't mind jumping on their phone for 2 hours a day and scrolling. They don't mind, Sally coming in and having a chat about things. They don't mind random meetings. They don't mind the randomness because it gives you a sense of, you get a little hit of dopamine from those things. But they absolutely do. That action and that mindset and those values do not produce results. Simple as that. All right, thinking patterns, short-term focus. They blame circumstances and other people. I hear this non-stop from the masses. It's always someone else's fault. They avoid uncomfortable truths. They focus on problems instead of solutions, and they seek validation before acting. They ask everyone, is this, am I this? Does this look? They're always seeking validation. They have no internal dialogue or strength. All right, learning and growth. They consume information without implementing. They love to watch a podcast because it makes them feel like they've done something, but they do nothing with that podcast. They rarely seek coaching or feedback. They stay around people with similar limitations. They love to surround themselves with other average people because that's where they feel comfortable. They repeat the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And they avoid environments where they feel challenged. They don't just avoid them. When they get in them, they get very defensive. They get very anxious. They get very uncertain. They get very uncomfortable, and they do not like to be there, and they will not stay there. Energy and health, poor sleep habits or just no sleep habits, no consciousness of blue light or food or timing or hydration or ergonomics of their sleep situation, whatever. No idea. They just whatever, fall asleep on the couch while watching TV, after binging on sugar. Like, it's a mess. Inconsistent exercise or none, reactive eating, high stress with no management, and frequent low energy states, constantly tired, constantly sick, constantly overwhelmed, constantly unmotivated, constantly negative, just low states producing low results. Environment control. They work in chaotic environments. They keep constant digital distractions, always going between their phones. There's so much data on this now. The average person is checking their phone every 14 minutes, and the average person is spending, it's ridiculous amounts. I think it's, I'll have to get back to you on it. It's multiple hours a day on social media. It's disgusting. And we're not talking about social media to produce content and to, build business or follow up or sales or whatever it is. We're talking about doom scrolling cat videos. It is the fastest way to absolutely lose in the game of life. Sorry, I didn't finish off on this one. And they allow inputs all day, random inputs, random conversations, random phone calls, everything random. They lack clear boundaries and standards. Communication leadership. They avoid difficult conversations. They don't like to fire people. They don't like to have the tough conversations. They don't like to solve problems. They communicate indirectly. They're never honest. They're always they're pleasers, or they just avoid. They fail to set expectations. They tolerate poor performance, and they struggle with accountability. Going to personal standards. They break promises to themselves. They quit when things become uncomfortable. They seek comfort instead of growth. They operate based on mood, and they rely on external approval. If you can't see clear as day right now that this is a losing formula, then you are bound to go down that path. But if you are sitting somewhere in the middle, bit of high performance, bit of low performance, fine, no problem at all. It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming conscious before it's too late and taking the action that's required to get the result that you desire, not what I desire, not what anyone desires, but what you desire. And if you're watching this, I know that you're someone that's probably in business and probably seeks growth and probably wants more in their life. So right now, decide which ones you do really great. Awesome. Keep maintaining. Which ones you don't, and you fall into the masses trap, and how you're going to get yourself back into how you're going to move from the masses trap into the elite performance. All right, let's look at a quick direct comparison. We'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Okay, elite operators decide quickly. Averages delay decisions. Elites execute daily. The masses wait for motivation. The elites operate on system. The masses operate on feelings. The elites focus on leverage. The masses focus on busy work. The elites take full ownership. The masses blame circumstances. The elites finish what they start. The masses start more than they finish. The elites track performance. The masses guess performance. The elites seek mentorship. The masses avoid feedback. The elites train and protect energy. The masses neglect health. The elites design environments. The masses accept environments. The elites solve root causes. The masses treat symptoms. The elites think long term. The masses think short term. The elites confront problems early. The masses avoid problems. The elites keep promises to themselves. The masses break personal commitments. The elites choose discipline over comfort, and the masses choose comfort over discipline. If that's not obvious as hell, nothing will be. And just that list there is probably one of the most powerful understandings that you could ever come across as an entrepreneur. Why? Because it's clear as day. Which ones do you do well? Keep doing them, double down. Which ones are costing you results? Will be the right side of that equation. Change those. Get help, get support, take some action, do what you've got to do. Click the link below if you want to have a chat with me and you want to go over these in more detail. We'll do a clarity call and we'll find out exactly which side of the fence you are on, or which of the habits are holding you back in your business, how to break through, how to get to the next level. I've done it so many times. It's so clear. It's so obvious. And it is simple, but it's not easy. It does take work. All right, let's wrap up. The core differences. If you zoom right out, the real difference is so simple. Just what I said there. Elite performers build systems that force high-level behavior. It's as simple as that. We build systems that force high-level behavior. And the average performers, they rely on motivation, emotion, inspiration, circumstances. Systems beat motivation every single time. And one line to summarize and wrap this up. Elite operators act based on standards, and the masses act based on their feelings. And if you're operating your life through your feelings, then it will be a very rough roller coaster ride. And I bet you're already experiencing it now if you're on that side of the equation. And I bet if you're in the elite equation, it's woken you up to what it is that you are doing well if you didn't already realize. My name's Scott Lewis. I'm the head coach here at FounderFit. If you need support breaking through some of these limitations, click the link below, jump on a call. Let's get clarity on them because, as you know, clarity is power. And then let's take some action to get you in that left side of the equation as an elite performer. I'll see you on the other side.